Hello and welcome to the channel. And yes, you have just seen the largest antebellum mansion in the South, built in 1859 with 165 rooms, burned to the ground. So let's get into the slave plantation burning. The fire that destroyed Nottoway Plantation on May 15th, 2025, flames erupted in the south wing of a grand white mansion in White Castle, Louisiana. The fire spread fast, overtaking the entire structure. By morning, Nottoway Plantation, the largest antebellum mansion in the American South, was gone. For some, it was a tragedy. For others, it was a reckoning. Let's get into the story of Nottoway, what it was, and how it evolved, and why its destruction stirred so many reactions. John Hampden Randolph moved to Louisiana from Virginia with a fortune and a plan to build the sugar empire and crown it with a big fancy mansion. He hired farmed New Orleans architect Henry Howard to design what would become the largest antebellum home in the South. Randolph named it Nottoway after the county in Virginia where he was born. Randolph built Nottoway in just 2 years. Well, he didn't build it himself. Of course he didn't. Slave laborers did all the work, hundreds of them. By 1860, Randolph owned 155 slaves and controlled more than 6,000 acres. Behind the house, the slave quarters were arranged in rows, just far enough to stay out of sight, but close enough to be watched. After emancipation, many of them stayed on the property. Some had nowhere to go. Others had families still living on the land. Most entered into sharecropping agreements, trading bondage for debt. Nottoway was a 64-room colossal in Greek revival in Italian styles with a 65-foot-long ballroom, gas lighting, indoor plumbing, and a 10,000-gallon copper water tank. Decades later, the same house would be reborn as a tourist attraction, its grandeur preserved, its history tucked away out of sight. Unlike many plantations, Nottoway was not destroyed during the Civil War. It changed hands a few times over the decades that follow, staying in the Owens family until 1977. It was sold to Arlene Dees, a history enthusiast who restored the property and opened it for tours, weddings, and overnight stays. So the burning building became, a bed and breakfast, a tourist site. I'm sure they made a lot of money. I'm sure they made millions. Let's keep going. From that point forward, Nottoway was marketed not as a plantation, but as a resort. Later owners expanded it, adding guest rooms, a restaurant, and conference facilities. Tourists came to marvel at white columns, oak-lined drives, and lavish interiors without hearing about the hundreds of people who lived, worked, and died on the land. While Nottoway was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1980, its interpretive materials often downplayed or ignored its origins. The official website's history page focused entirely on the property's oak trees. What do we see on the oak trees here? Our ancestors? Let's keep going. The public has mixed feelings towards Nottoway's destruction, and it's deeply revealing. On Reddit and Twitter, users shared stories of the resort silencing mentions of slavery and forbidding guides from discussing their own ancestry. One user posted, they even gave the trees names and reference to the plantation's official history page. Another noted that the site leaned heavily into heritage, but not Black history heritage. So let's take a listen to a few people and their opinions of the burning of the Nottoway plantation.
Nottoway was a staple in White Castle. I mean, everyone from all over the world came here to tour Nottoway. Just the history. I mean, this was built, in the Civil War. It stood this whole time, and now to see it just burned down, it's really sad.
Everybody have their own opinions on Nottoway, but it is, it is White Castle. It's one of the biggest slave plantations in Louisiana. It's historical. As White Castle, we have to think about the people, who was providing.
The largest plantation in America just burned down. Here's an example, another one, and another one. But that's not even the craziest part. Nottoway Plantation was a plantation resort. Could you imagine a Holocaust labor camp being a place you could get a spa day, a massage, and chill by the pool? Well, we don't got to worry about that anymore because Nottoway is gone. Let the tape roll.
So before we start talking about the people that are so sad, the plantation burned down the history, a little cloud cleanser, just happy Black women. Just enjoy this. As a furniture restorer, 37 years, this breaks my heart to see the loss of so many valuable artifacts from Louisiana's history as well as the building itself. And someone else saying that y'all people sound ignorant, the architecture didn't enslave people, the building is part of American history, whether you like it or not, blah, 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 blah. Stop acting like you did grow up. This is a beautiful structure, tragic history, and all, blah, blah, blah. Penny, I could just cry. This kind of captures everything, I feel. Would you want to get married at Auschwitz? Would you? I mean, because that's what it's like when you see a plantation for us Black people. So anyone wants to learn the real history that was not taught at that plantation, check out Maxwell Bowen's project. I actually went to high school with him. I'll post the link of the YouTube in the bio. If you want me to go into more details, let me know in the comments. Bye.
So as we can see, there are many people with many different feelings. In the comments, let me know your feelings about the plantation burning down. The current owner expressed interest in rebuilding, but with the structure reduced to ruins, the future of the property is uncertain. What remains are the records, the photos, the census counts, the architecture journals, the family oral histories. And even in the ashes, Nottoway raises questions that won't burn away. Who gets to decide how history is remembered? Could an antebellum mansion built by slaves and later used as a wedding revenue ever be neutral ground? What happens when we preserve the architect but not the truth? See, the house is gone, but the history isn't. And I must say, in doing this video, there is so much history to this plantation. And to be honest with you, I would have loved to have seen how beautiful our ancestors built this plantation. There was also another picture that I saw while it was burning down. There happened to be a Black woman passing by, and she had water pouring on the fields, just like a bottled water. And someone said, this should be framed. That actually would be a good idea, because it was a Black woman now in today's days, 2025, with the bottled water, and she's walking so joyfully. And right behind her in real time, the Nottoway plantation is burning down. So we have many questions around it. Nottoway is gone, but the history You can burn down the walls, but the foundation will always be there. See, that's the thing about history. You can burn down the walls, you can burn it, you can do whatever you want to do, Trump. But the history is still there. And we can still teach it. We can, hopefully, if you don't take the pictures out, we can still show it. We can still talk about it, which is so important. So important. Again, let me know in the comments, how do you feel about the Nottoway fire? Let me know if you ever been there or if you intended to go there. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.